Have you heard of breeding plantations during slavery? Well, class is in session. Let's get into it. First of all, the definition. Breeding plantations were slave holding operations focused on forcing enslaved blacks to reproduce, to have sex and to reproduce, increasing the slave population for labor and for sale. So you have to understand the two reasons why white Americans wanted blacks, enslaved Africans, was for one, to work their land. And two, also, it was value in selling the enslaved African, because again, the white man back then, and even some today, don't see black people as anything but chattel, property. And so it was easy for the white man to sell a baby, a child from their mother, because again, they're not human, they're chattel. So on these breeding plantations, the whole purpose was to replace the import of enslaved Africans after this transatlantic slave trade was officially banned in 1808. So see, white people can be very resourceful. So they were like, you know what, there's been a ban on bringing slaves in from Africa. So what can we do to still increase our slave population so we don't have to take our white ass out there and work the cotton, rice, and other fields? They say, you know what? We will force these enslaved Africans to have sex with each other and have them produce all these babies so we can still have a workforce. Because see, it wasn't just adults out there on the plantation working those fields from sunup to sundown. There were children as well. Again, this is information that they don't want you to know in your history, guys. White America, they don't want you to know the atrocities that happened. They want you to be ignorant. They don't want you to know just how fucked up some of y'all's ancestors were. And black people, they don't want you to know your history and see just how resilient we are. They want us to think that we're always divided and arguing and crabs in a barrel. Don't believe the okie doke. Let's keep going. They also, the whole purpose for the breeding plantations was to maximize the profitability of enslaved people by treating them as commodities. Now, the key locations for this was in, and this even surprised me when I was doing my research, Maryland. Maryland surprised me, but not Virginia. Although I should not have been surprised about Maryland, because Annapolis particularly has a very strong history of slave trading and selling, and actually where they would actually have posts where slave selling posts was right there in Annapolis. So it shouldn't have surprised me at all. All right, so let's talk about how they operated, shall we? It was forced mating. So the enslaved black man and the woman were paired against their will to produce children. It was an exploitation of women. Enslaved women were often raped by their slave holders and overseers or other enslaved men chosen for their physical characteristics. So a lot of times, you know what, the white man said, you know what, I might as well just rape this African woman, get her pregnant, because even a mulatto, or as they used to call them, mulatto or biracial slave, is better than no slave at all. That's America. Make America great again. Okay. The next one was children as property. Enslaved children were born into slavery, immediately became the property of the slaveholder, increasing their wealth. Because if you had younger women, younger girls were definitely desired because they could be to help in the big house, to help. And also the young men were able to help and do things in the field because they had the strength and the youth to do it. Then let's talk about the human cost of this. The physical impact of breeding plantations. The enslaved women often endured repeated pregnancies under brutal conditions, leading to severe health problems and even death. Think about it. If you as a woman, your only job is to keep mass producing children. And during those times, we're not talking about in 2024, we're talking about in the 1800s, 1900s. We're talking about like time when medicine and sonograms and ultrasounds was non-existent, guys. And these enslaved African women endured so much shit. So when you look at a black woman and you say that we are assertive or that we are strong black women, it was not always by choice, but by force. Another human cost for these breeding plantations was the separation of families and the commodification of human life, creating profound psychological scars. And do you really think those scars were not passed down from one generation to the next? I keep telling you all, in one of my previous videos, I talked to you all about post-traumatic slave syndrome, which I'm going to talk about more in another video. It is a reality. Just like if someone in your family, the trauma of rape happened, if you don't get that thing dealt with and you don't dig into it and get some healing and some emotional healing in that thing, you pass that pain on. It's trauma. Black people are traumatized. People walk around here traumatized for the longest. It's a miracle from God that we are who we are today. All right, the third the human cost of all this is the fact that the family structures were intentionally disrupted, stripping enslaved people of their autonomy and identity. That's what slavery did. It broke us down, our ancestors down. You took our language. We couldn't speak our language. You changed our name, and that's why it pisses me off when those of you all, you know damn well that woman's name was Kamala Harris. But you white people, a lot of you call her Kamala. You know why? Because it's in some of y'all's DNA. The way to disrespect a person, like you all did the enslaved Africans, is you rename them. You don't even identify them as their name. You know damn well, every Republican out there called her Kamala. And you know damn well her name was Kamala. See, that's that microaggression shit I'm telling you all about that some of you all do, unconsciously and subconsciously. I'm here to educate you. Don't get offended. Grow from it. Lastly, the legacy of breeding plantations. The psychological and emotional impact of slavery persists in Black communities even today. The dehumanization and commodification of Black bodies laid the foundation for modern disparities in wealth, healthcare, and education. Stereotypes about Black fertility and family dynamics have roots in these practices, perpetuating harmful narratives. So let's talk about it, guys. How can understanding these breeding plantations deepen your awareness about systemic racism? I'm not making this shit up. Do you really think I want to make this stuff up? See, me and a lot of other Black people, we knew about all this. And the truth of the matter is, many white people know about it too. But they don't want it in your history books because they don't want you to teach your children truly about the evils that many white Americans had. A lot of you, it's in your DNA, y'all. I'm not saying that I'm not hating you. I'm trying to educate you so you understand and take an honest, righteous judgment about yourself and your people, white folk. What parallels can we draw between these practices and modern issues such as reproductive justice or mass incarceration? Don't you understand the spirit of, and I'm not saying everybody incarcerated doesn't deserve to be there, because there are a lot of people who committed crimes that need to be in prison. But what I'm saying is the spirit of trauma, the spirit of rape, the spirit of poverty and imprisonment was rooted and put into the enslaved African and passed on from generation to generation. If you are a spiritual person, you understand about generational curses as well as generational blessings. Some of y'all sitting in these white churches, your pastor would never teach nothing like this because he's too chicken shit scared. All you want to talk about is the love of God, the love of America. God loves America. He may love America, but he hates the bullshit that you've done to Native Americans and enslaved Africans and Black people. I can guarantee you that. Last takeaway, how can this history inform efforts towards equity and reparations? Each one teach one. Now you know. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on TikTok, continue to follow me. It's hard, y'all, but we got to go through this, white folk. We got to muddle through it. You need to know the truth because they're not going to tell you, honey. They've been lying to you. You got a watered down version of slavery and truth. I've just scratched the surface talking to you about how alligator babies and how they would throw the babies to the Black babies to the alligators. You just gotten a taste about buck breaking with them raping Black men in front of their children. You just gotten a taste about the breeding plantations. Stick with me. I'm going to show you some more. Black women, keep drinking water. Mind your Black business. Black men, keep doing what you do because can't nobody do it better than you. And buy a sister a cup of coffee if my teachings are blessing you. Bye.